How do you go beyond 5 points in GMAT essay? In this video, learn some essential tips to nail down solid score in AWA, and I will also show you how to proceed with your essay writing steps. There is a 30-minute analytical writing assessment or AWA in the GMAT. What is an analytical writing? It is a detailed examination of the elements in the argument. Looking at author's argument, we need to evaluate and criticize the argument, backing up with your own evidences. The author's argument is short, and the argument often lacks the connection between the conclusion and the reasoning behind it, just like critical reasoning. There are often radical jumps in author's reasoning, so find the conclusion of the argument and the reasoning or premise of the argument. And it is your job to attack the validity of the argument with possible flaws. Remember that the GMAT is all about business. You are not to write a fancy essay, but a cognitive essay. This means the reader, when they read your essay, should easily recognize the structure and meaning in your essay. The essay graders only have 2 minutes to read your essay, so make sure your essay is easy to read. The key to score more than 5 in your essay depends on 2 main things: content and structure. A good content criticizes effectively on the argument presented. It precisely analyzes which types of flaws the argument might have. Find 3 distinct flaws in the argument. You don't need to find more than 3 because 3 main points are enough to get the highest possible score. What are the possible flaws in the argument? The most evident flaw in the argument is wrong assumption. It could be readily assuming that decreasing cost will increase profit, increasing investment will lead to greater profit, or supposing that based on history in the past, a company will do better or worse in the future. Usually the flaws are indicated by vague words such as more people, less people, or some people. If you are able to manipulate data with vague words, such as many politicians do, then the flaw is evident. Also, the flaws are indicated by absolute words that convey overconfidence, such as apparently, undoubtedly, do not need to, the best way, or must. Also, there is an error of first comparison. If the given passage is long, usually the argument is based on wrong data and has errors in causality. For example, the argument might claim that because another company did so well with a particular strategy, they should copy and follow the strategy. Or the argument might explain about one process and claim that this process applies the same to another area. That will be overgeneralization. Often this type of error focuses on weak relationship between 2 elements, but these 2 elements are not based on correct cause and effect. They may look correlated, but has nothing to do with the direct consequences. Now let us discuss about the structure. I suggest you write 5 paragraphs about 500 to 600 words long. The introduction should explain what is the argument about, including its conclusion and reasoning behind the conclusion. And the introduction should end with your disagreement with the argument and the summary of the 3 distinct flaws. Each body paragraph should consist of explaining each distinct flaw in the argument. Always structure body paragraphs with the topic sentence, examples, and concluding sentence. The topic sentence should be about one distinct flaw in the argument. Examples could be any point that can contradict or counter the reasoning or conclusion in the argument. And concluding sentence should wrap up and rephrase the body paragraph. You can write the concluding sentence by stating the opposite effect of the argument, such as the argument could have been much stronger if. In the final part, you need to come up with a concluding paragraph. The conclusion part should not introduce any new information, but restate your point. A good way to write the concluding paragraph is to contrast the argument and your criticism. Also, abundantly use the transition words. These are the signposts that signal the reader the change in flow of the essay. If you are giving an example, state for example, for instance, or to illustrate an example. If you are making an opposition, use phrases like however, in contrast, on the contrary, whereas, and so on. If you are repeating or supporting a point, use phrases like in other words, that is, similarly, furthermore, and so on. A 5+ score essay always have a strong usage of transition words, so make sure you use them a lot throughout the essay. After you write your essay, always proofread. A lot of people miss this step because it is an extra work. But believe me, it's worth to proofread at least 3 to 5 minutes before ending the AWA session. A perfect 6-score essay could include 1 or 2 spelling errors, but more than that will surely downgrade your essay. Maybe you want to have a look at a sample essay. I put a 6 perfect score sample essay link in the description below. You might think it is error-free, but surprisingly, this 6-score essay has 1 spelling error. It also has 600 words, so you can see that you need at least 500 words to get a high score. Let me show you how to proceed with your essay writing steps. Let us read this argument. Company A has a large share of the international market in video game hardware and software. Company B, the pioneer in this product, was once a $12 billion a year giant, but collapsed when children became bored with its line of products. Thus, Company A can also be expected to fail, especially given the fact that its games are now in so many American homes that the demand for them is nearly exhausted. The intro paragraph should rephrase the argument and criticize it. The first sentence should be the summary of the argument. In order to summarize and criticize the argument effectively, find the conclusion and the reasoning for the argument. The conclusion is, Company A can also be expected to fail. It is signaled by the concluding word thus. Now find the reasoning behind this conclusion. That is, you are looking for the premise. The reasoning is that Company B collapsed when children became bored with its line of products. Also, there is a further point that Company A's games are now in many American homes and the demand is almost gone. So the reasoning for the conclusion states that because Company B collapsed with children losing interest in its products and that Company A's games are losing the demand, it is concluded that Company A is also expected to fail just as Company B did. So you can start your first sentence of the intro paragraph by rewriting the conclusion of the argument. The argument states that Company A is expected to fail in video game industry such as Company B did, and next restate the reasoning or premise. The conclusion of this argument is based on the premise that the demand of Company A's products is nearly exhausted, such as Company B's demand by children became exhausted. So always state the conclusion and reasoning of the argument in the first and second sentence of the introduction. How do you end your introduction paragraph? It's simple. Just state that the argument is unsound and unconvincing because it has some flaws. And then we move on to the body paragraph. Before we write the 3 paragraphs for the body, let us think about the 3 distinct flaws in the argument. The argument has a faulty comparison. It did not state the customer base of Company A and B. If Company A has more adult customers than children, then we have a faulty comparison. Also, because Company B was a pioneer of the industry, Company A now might have advanced technologies and methods to overcome such failure. We have another faulty comparison. Okay, we got the first flaw. The next flaw might be the failure of demonstration by the author not mentioning other factors of Company B's collapse. It could be price factors or market condition. What if Company B collapsed during the Depression? And what if Company A is now in a good economic condition? Third flaw is the limited comparison of the market. The argument expects Company A to fail in American market and fail in whole. However, it is stated that Company A is an international company that has a large share of the international market in video game hardware and software. The assumption that because the demand ran out in America, Company A will ultimately collapse is wrong. It is overgeneralization. So we have 3 flaws outlined, and now you can write 3 body paragraphs. In concluding paragraph, rephrase your criticism first. The first sentence for the first flaw, the second sentence for the second flaw, and the third sentence for the third flaw. In conclusion, the faulty comparison of a customer base of a Company A and B lose the credibility of the author's argument. Moreover, the author failed to mention other possible factors of a company B's collapse and readily assumed with only one factor. The analysis could have been better if the author explained the correlation between the American market and the global market for company A. Now that we rephrase the criticism and the conclusion with a final blow to the author. Hence, the author's approach to the argument is based on weak ground and unsound assumptions. So please pay attention to making your essay content great and polishing your structures. Good content and structure is the key to get over 5 score in AWA. Always find the conclusion of the argument and the reasoning behind it. Then use transition words here and there so that the reader can easily recognize the flow of your criticism. It is also a good idea to write your own essay template so that you can apply it to most AWA questions. I hope my demonstration was helpful, and please don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Happy essay writing!